Hi families, I have another homework tips video. Today we're going to be talking about using rounding to estimate the products. When we come across problems like this in the classroom, the first thing I like to do is go through the question or whatever the direction is and go over the vocabulary words with the students. So for this one, use rounding to estimate the product. Estimate, we always talk about, means they want us to round and then find the answer. This one's really easy because rounding was already right there in the direction. So we're going to round and find the product. That is another math word. So the student should know product means the answer to a multiplication problem. So for this equation, we're going to try to solve 6 times 479 using rounding. So 6, already a pretty small number. We don't need to round that one. So we're going to go with the biggest number, which is the 479. We'll start in the largest place, which is the 4, and look next door. The rhyme we've been using to remember our rounding strategies is 4 or less, let it rest. 5 or more, raise the score. Because 7 is bigger than 5, it would tell it to raise or go up. So our 4 would go to the next 100, which is 5. Everything after turns into a 0. So to round, we would do 6 times 500. Now we're looking at a problem that has like easy peasy base facts in it. Your child should be able to look at this and go, oh, I see 6 times 5, and they can solve that. So 6 times 5, if they don't know it off the top of the head, you can use a strategy like counting by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. But it's not really 6 times 5, it's 6 times 500. So it's really 3,000. I add those 2 zeros back that I ignored, and my answer is now 3,000. So this is how we do the rounding to estimate. We're just looking for something close enough whenever it's asking to estimate. We also do this when we're reading word problems to assess if an answer is reasonable. Is the answer close? We can go through an example of that right here. Mr. Thomas sells sun visors for $8. He sells 415 sun visors in 1 month. Mr. Thomas says that his monthly sales were $3,320. Is that reasonable? So the first step you'd need to do is have your child figure out, what is the question we're trying to solve? What operation are we using? Well, you know Mr. Thomas is selling sun visors and that they're $8, and he sells 415 of them. So would we be adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? Well, it wouldn't make sense for me to add $8 to the 415 sun visors, and it wouldn't make sense for me to subtract them. So I know it's probably multiplication or division. So for multiplication, I would need 415 groups of 8. Is he making, so in this case, it is multiplication. He has 415 visors at $8 a piece. He's adding up all those 8s 415 times. We know it's not division because he would be taking the 415 sun visors and breaking them into groups of 8, and it wouldn't make sense for him to be breaking apart the sun visors rather than counting up the money. So the real equation that Mr. Thomas sold was 415 times 8, or 8 times 415. In the classroom, when we do this, we try to find the low and the high estimate. So to do this, we're going to look for the numbers that 415 is in between to the largest place value, which is 100. So what 100 did 415 have to pass first? Well, it had to go past 400. And then if it keeps going, what's the next one it hits? That's going to be 500. So we're going to find a low and a high. So we'll do 8 times 400 and 8 times 500. And if his answer is reasonable, it's going to be in between my lowest answer and my highest answer. So again, this is where your child will be looking to pull out that base fact, 8 times 4. If they don't know their base facts right away, you can use a strategy like repeated addition, 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, Or you can have them count on multiples. You need 8 groups of 4 or 4 groups of 8. I'm going to do the 4 groups of 8 because that'll go a little bit faster. So I'll write 4 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I count by 8s. 8, 16, 24, 32. I really like suggesting that they count by 8s or use their multiples because they can just count on their fingers every time they go up by 1. And that is a great strategy until they're more fluent in their multiplication. So the base fact of 8 times 4, that equals 32. But I wasn't doing 8 times 4. I was doing 8 times 400. So my answer isn't 32, it's 3200, which after I put my 2 zeros back, I can see is 3,200. So this is the lowest possible answer that would make sense. The highest possible answer is going to be 8 times 500, which is the base fact of 8 times 5. 8 times 5 is 40, and I ignored these 2 zeros because it was 100. I put those 2 zeros back, and I see my highest possible answer is going to be 4,000. So to assess for reasonableness, I go back into the story and I look for the answer. Mr. Thomas says his monthly sales were $3,320. So now they have to look, is this number in between 3,200 and 4,000? Well, I see it's at least 3,000. 300 is bigger than 200. It's smaller than 4,000. So because it's in between, yes, this answer is reasonable. We don't know 100% sure, is he exactly right? But it didn't ask us to say, is his answer absolutely correct? It asked, is his answer reasonable? Is his answer close if I were to round it? And the answer is, it is. So when we do that rounding check with the story problems particularly, we're going for the lowest and the highest, and we're trying to figure out what's in between. Hopefully that was helpful. Thanks for watching.